I'm going to show you how to make this sweet little bow necklace. So it's a very simple project. You need a chain, a strip of wire. This is silver plated 20 gauge wire and I've cut 8 centimeters. That should be plenty. If you want to make a much smaller bow, you won't need as much, but it's good to have a bit to play with. And I've also got 2 jump rings. These are open jump rings. They're 19 gauge, or I'd also recommend 20 gauge. You want it to be quite thick, but not so thick that it won't go through the links of the chain. And they're 3.5 millimeters wide. Again, it could be a little bit bigger, maybe 4, I would say between 3 and 4 millimeters would be fine. So, and for our tools, we need the round nose pliers. That's what we're going to use to make the shape. And we will also need our cutters and our flat nose pliers as well. So I'm going to take my piece of wire. So leaving about 1.5 centimeters at the end, you're going to bend your wire around the widest part of your pliers until it forms a sort of right angle. Then take it off your pliers, your bow in the making, and place it so that the longest strip is now about to go around the pliers, like this, and have it come down. You can see it's already making a sort of a bow shape, and you want it to cross over in a similar place to where the first wire crossed. So there's my longer bit sort of resting on top. Then I take it off and hold it steady. I'm going to hold it steady in my pliers by holding one side, the top part of the bow and the tail part of the bow. And then I'm going to wrap the long bit by pushing it down and back and all the way up and around between the 2 sides of the top of the bow. And it's going to come all the way around, sort of 360 degrees, and push it back down. So we're nearly finished already. This is the back side of the bow. I'm going to turn it around so you can see the front. It's already looking pretty good. I'm just going to use my pliers though to tuck it a bit further. Sometimes you can end up with this looking a bit big, and you can just use your flat nose pliers to squeeze it. I'm going to do it from the back. Just squeeze it in. Maybe it's there. Oh, there. So you just saw that it tightened it up a little bit. Hopefully you can see okay. And then I'm going to use my flat pliers just to line up the top and bottom by squeezing it gently. Be careful not to mark it. You can put a bit of polishing cloth or a bit of material between if you're worried about marking it. But obviously one side is very long and the other's not as long. I'm going to use my cutters just to even it out. So there's the first one. And I want them to be the same length. They don't have to be identical. And there's my little bow. Almost finished, but where I've cut it's very sharp and it can catch. So you can take a bit of emery paper. You can use an emery board or a nail file. This is grade 800 sandpaper. So if you just take your sandpaper piece and just kind of file off the edges, it'll just start to take off any overly sharp edges. You just need to do it a little bit on each side. And just do the back of it as well. So all we need to do now, once it's sort of nice and smooth, is add it to our chain. So I'm going to cut, I'm pulling my chain up so that the clasp is right at one side, and that helps you just to find the middle on the other side. So about here, and then cut a little nick. So depending on how long you want your necklace, now's the time to decide. If you want it to be a bit shorter, you can cut it a bit shorter, but I'm going to keep mine this length. This is a 16-inch chain. I need to open my jump rings up. To open a jump ring, you need to take 2 sets of pliers. So hold it steady with your flat nose pliers, and then take, if you've got two pairs or a pair of flat nose and a pair of chain nose, that's probably the easiest, but you can do it with your round nose as well. Just open it out so it's wide enough for your bow to fit through, like this. And then you need to thread your chain onto the jump ring, like that, and then close it up again. So when I open the jump ring, I do it sort of, rather than opening it out one side from the other, it's more like a sort of door opening, and that means you can get a nice flush edge, so you're not going to lose your chain. And then I'm going to do the other side. You can see what a simple project it can be, but it does take a few attempts sometimes to get the bow right, so you can practice with silver plated wire, and then have a go with your sterling silver, or perhaps even gold filled. I make a lot of gold ones too. So gold filled is like a cross between gold plated and solid gold. It's obviously more economical than solid gold, but much higher quality than gold plated, so I recommend that if you want to work in gold. Okay, there we are, that's closed, and there it is, my little bow ready to go. So good luck.